Welcome to the DaVinci Resolve Podcast. A lot going on here in the world of DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve 20 just came out actually last night. I'm filming this on Wednesday, May 28th. Just came out last night. Super excited to now be out of beta, and everybody who was waiting for it to get out of beta can now upgrade. But a lot going on here in the world of DaVinci Resolve. Lots of new and awesome stuff happening, and new tools, new features, AI, all kinds of good stuff. So on the podcast here, we just go through and answer your questions and talk about DaVinci Resolve related stuff and just try and give you guys another way to get more information about Resolve, video editing, audio editing, all that kind of stuff. And I know if it was me, I might throw it on in the car while I used to commute to work, but now I commute to my basement, so I can make videos for you guys. So first up, let's just talk about DaVinci Resolve 20. A lot of stuff that got added in here. I'm sure you've been seeing some of the things that have come out over the last, a month or two or however long the beta versions have been out. But some of the new features here, just reading them off of Blackmagic Design's, new feature list here. New keyframing, right? The way the keyframes are set up now is a lot more similar to some other programs that people might be familiar with. And it's just, I guess, a better way to work with keyframes than kind of what we had before in the edit page. It also, it just makes it easier, actually, I think, just to go through and work with the keyframes because we have a whole dedicated keyframe tab now. We've got new voiceover options, new way to record. That's a whole lot easier. You don't have to do a whole lot of setup. We've got AI IntelliScript. We've got Magic Mask got a big update. That's really good. I mean, it does a fantastic job. You don't have to draw the little lines, like drop a dot and boom, it just finds your subject for you. Pretty sweet. We've got our AI dialogue matcher to match clip tones and levels and reverberance. We've got the AI audio assistant that's going to mix all of your audio for you. We've got AI IntelliCut, which removes silences from maybe you have one long recording, it's a podcast or something, you've got one file. It'll actually make cuts on all the people and put them all in their own tracks. That's pretty sweet. We've got just all kinds of updates here in the cut page and actually really every page here. I mean, there's just so much to go over. Literally, I could spend the whole podcast just going over all the updates. There were a lot of AI audio updates, some of them better than others, in my opinion. We did get the remixer, I'm going to call it, but it's actually in Resolve, it's called the AI Music Editor. And that's essentially like Remix that a lot of people have wanted from Premiere for a long time. They're like, why doesn't Resolve have that? And my answer was always, give them time. They're going to get there, and it'll be in there. Just give them time, because if people are asking for it, Blackmagic Design pretty much has always delivered on what people want. So that's in there now. We've got animated subtitles, which are awesome. It's really quick and easy to make them, and now you can stylize them really quick. You don't have to, go to, some online tool or something and get these little subtitles that pop up and things like that. It's all built right into DaVinci Resolve. We have AI beat detectors for your music so that you can edit to the beat a little bit easier. We've got new UI layout options for vertical videos, all kinds of stuff in Fusion. There's new multi-layer pipelines. There's a new vector warping tool set, all kinds of good stuff. I know Casey's got probably a ton on all the Fusion stuff. Color page, like I said, Magic Mask. We've got, other depth map things. I mean, you got to look at the list. There's tons of stuff. And with Fairlight, tons of great audio stuff. We've got some new effects that got added in. Support for more in different codecs, just all kinds of other general updates. But I mean, there's a lot there. Literally, I could spend like probably 3 days going through all that stuff. But check out my videos and other videos from our creator friends out there. There's a lot of people that have been talking about all these things for DaVinci Resolve 20. And now that the release is official, back up that database, go ahead, download version 20, and get off and running with some of these new tools and features, because they are awesome, and a lot of them really help speed up your workflow. So, check that out. And but what we're going to do now is jump into some of your questions, because I get tons and tons of comments from all you guys, and I do my best to answer them, on the YouTubes here. But sometimes it's easier to answer it just in a podcast format here. So we're going to jump into these questions and see if we can help you guys learn Resolve a little bit better. So grab your cup of joe. We're starting at the top of my comments here, and let's answer some of your questions. So the first one on a video, 5 ways to adjust audio levels in DaVinci Resolve. Let's say Lewis says, there says, to be clear, there's not a single way to put the audio exactly where you want it, and you have to have some variation of the slider to get it around where you want. Isn't that an awful design? Actually, it's not awful. I mean, it just gives you options, right? Now, you can do it any way that you want. Like many things in video editing, audio editing, DaVinci Resolve, any other program, there's a lot of ways that you can do different things. So it just gives you options, and sometimes you need those options. If you have, simpler video and stuff like that, maybe you don't need the options, but it's nice to be able to do things different ways because you might run into an issue where you can't do it the way you want to. So that's, you want to keep that in mind. Just try different things. If one way works for you, just stick with that way, When it comes to audio levels, I like to start with an adjustment on the clip, and I'll use the faders later on to really just kind of blend things together. So you don't have to use all the different ways. It's just options, and it's nice to have some options sometimes. On my DaVinci Resolve 20 post here, Chris says, yeah, and more yes. I'm with you, dude. Next question on how to back up or save power bins. Is there a way to back up all of your power grades? And I think you can actually just export out your power grade. So if I'm looking at Resolve here, or if you're just listening, and I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm just going in the color tab, selecting my power grades, and if I select all of them, I think I can do that. And then I can right click and just say export. And then I can export out my power grades, and boom, they're all saved. So that's how you can do that. It's pretty quick and easy. And then you can just bring them back in if you need to import them back in an updated version of Resolve, if you got to back something up or whatever. Really easy to do, and just right click, export, boom, you're done. So new video I just put out the other day, 10 free effects I use on every project in DaVinci Resolve. So first comment here is, great video. Do you also have a tip for creating the little video box of your head? At least an easy way to do that. I'm new to Resolve. So the way that I do it is I actually use a whip template from Jake Whip. If you don't know Jake Whip, look him up on YouTube here. Great guy. He's got a great set of templates and titles and call outs and stuff like that. So I actually have a template from him, or not, well, I guess not a template, maybe a preset, is it called? An effect? I'm going to call it an effect. It's an effect. So if you're watching along here, I'm just going to jump in the edit tab. It's in my effects library here. And if I open up my effects, I've got one called Whip Cam. So all you do is drag and drop that on a clip, and it will automatically slide your video down into, it could be a box, it could be a square. There's options in the settings there in the inspector of how you can set that, but really quick and easy. But if you don't have Jake's transition, or Jake's, not transitions, editor collection is what it's a part of. And there's a link in the description. You can go check them out if you're interested. But you can also use a built-in effect here, the DVE effect. It's essentially going to do the same thing for you. You just grab that DVE effect, drop it on your clip or an adjustment layer if, that works for you too. And you can then make adjustments right in the inspector, change the size of it, the shape, rounded edges, all that kind of stuff. So DVE is going to do that for you as well. So either way can work. All right, moving on to the next comment here on my DaVinci Resolve 20 is live post. College football history says, I hope like beep, they fixed the transcription in IntelliScript because it was not good in the last beta. And then somebody followed up with that saying, same with the audio mixing. And I would agree with that. The audio mixing was not... It did okay if you had a really simple project, but when I tried it on something with a little more sound effects and music and dialogue and all that, I just wasn't impressed with it as far as, like a finished product. Maybe it would give you a good starting point is kind of how I said in the video I made about it, is what I said. A good starting point, but for me, especially, I'm an audio guy, right? Love me some good audio. I'm going to just go through and do it myself because it's going to be quicker instead of having to go back and figure things out that the AI audio assistant did and then redo it or, tune it up a little bit, I guess you could say. I'm going to go through and do it by myself. The transcription in IntelliScript, I didn't use the IntelliScript yet. Transcription, I don't really use that much either, although I haven't had any issues with it when I've tried it. But it's just not really part of my workflow. But I'm sure they kind of worked out some bugs there and made that a little bit better. Next couple comments on that same video, the one I just put out, 10 free effects I use all the time on every project in DaVinci Resolve. We have Dusty Fingers RC. Yo, love some RC. Says, thank you, very helpful. Well, you're welcome. a Life Track 6019er. I guess everything you use all the time. You know, it's funny because people picked up on that in the video. I said, I use this all the time. And a lot of them I do use all the time. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't use all of them all the time, but I do use a lot of them often. But when you're making YouTube videos, you know, when you reinforce the title like that, I use in every project. I use it all the time. Kind of helps YouTube say, oh, hey, I think this viewer might like it. Let me pull this video over to that viewer and let them check it out. So, you know, you got to play the YouTube game too, you know what I mean? So while I may not use all those all the time, I do use them often enough where, it kind of makes sense for me, you know? Very helpful on the same video there. You're welcome. I'm glad that I can make videos that help you guys, you know. Let's see. Here's one. Thanks for this, Jason. I upgraded today, but the media pool window won't go on the side. It's taking half my screen on the edit page. It's happening on vertical resolution. Tried everything, but it's still there. Any help? So they did, you know, adjust add in, I guess, vertical resolution, or just a better, not vertical resolution, a better workflow for working with vertical video. And I'm looking for the settings here so I can tell you where they are. Where are these settings here? Workspace. And actually, you know what? Maybe you need to make a vertical timeline. So I'm just going to duplicate a timeline that I have here in this particular project, and then I'm just going to change it to vertical, and let's see if it will give me the options there to do it a little bit different as far as, boop. All right, here we go. Let's open this up. Okay, yeah, so now I have the vertical screen on the right side of my viewer there. There is the little TV icon that doesn't let me make it any bigger. Okay, so I see how it's set up here. So if you have a vertical timeline, it's automatically going to put the vertical video window on the right-hand side for you. And let's see, it's happening on vertical resolution. I tried everything, but it's still there. I think it's just that's the default for working with vertical video. Expanded view. Oh, okay. So there is an expanded view there, which is going to make it a little bit bigger. So if you're finding that your viewer is taking up the whole right-hand side of the screen, kind of like I'm showing here, there's this little icon right here. It's called Shrink View. And if I click on that, it's going to pop it back into, you know, where it should be. So that's how you fix that. You know, sometimes those little buttons are hard to find. It took me a minute there of looking at it to find it. A little tricky there sometimes, but part is we got it, we found it, and you know, you can always look in the manual too. There's everything's in there. It's just sometimes a little hard to find in there. Let's see, we got a comment here on resize video clips and more in DaVinci Resolve 18. Big thanks. Actually, this is actually what. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I just can't read, dude. This is what I actually need. There are so many tutorials telling you to use the inspector to change the position. So I'm supposed to drag the mouse over and hover over because it isn't long enough. I'm not that stupid. All right, good. Well, so I'm glad that was able to help you out there with that particular video. Let's see, what else do we got? Next comment here, DaVinci Resolve 20 is insane. This is a post that I had. Here's a comment from True North Spirit Medicine as I take a sip of my brew. I actually need to make a coffee run today. Go get some more coffee. I do pour over. What kind of coffee you guys do? You like coffee? Dude, I have coffee all the time. I make pour over because I think it comes out the best. It's the smoothest, and I like it. So anyway, back to our comment here. Thanks, Jason. You are my BMD guru. I have a question for you, please. I had to get a new hard drive last week, so I re-uploaded DaVinci Resolve. I had to get version 20 as downloading 19 wasn't an option on their website. But now, whenever I trim the video, the sound totally cuts out on all of the clips, so I can't continue editing. I have never had this problem before and don't know how to fix it. Help! Also, I don't seem to be able to make the timeline screen, viewing screen, as big as I could previously. All right, so the first thing I'm going to say is go and download version 20, the full release, since that's out now. Definitely go download that. It should fix the problem for you. And if you do want to go back to 19, you can always do that. You have to look through the support section on the Blackmagic Design website. It's always there if you just scroll down. You're probably going to have to scroll down a ways to find it, but it will be there. So first thing is install 20, see if that helps. If not, if you want to roll back to 19, then you can just go through the support part of the Blackmagic Design website. So here's a comment that came through that is important, and I think it's something worth mentioning here. And on my post about DaVinci Resolve 20 officially being released, he says, great news, I'm in the middle of a big project. Should I wait until it's done to upgrade, or do you think it's safe to do it now? Now, I'm going to always recommend that you if you're in the middle of a project, you want to wait until you're done. You don't want to risk messing anything up, especially if it's a larger project. I would continue and finish out that project before you upgrade. And I even do that with my YouTube videos. If I'm in the middle of a video, I don't always upgrade. Now, sometimes I do because part of my job is to make videos for you guys and try things out. But a lot of times I'm not going to upgrade right in the middle of a project. But for me, thankfully, YouTube videos are relatively quick projects to do. A couple days, I'm done. And then I can back up the database and upgrade. But always back up and wait till you're done with, the project that you're working on before you go ahead and upgrade, because you don't want to mess anything up, And we had a lot of people who, kind of commented on that person's comment, mostly saying the same thing, that I would wait. And, some people even said wait until, it's version 20.1 or whatever. Because even still with version 20, even though it's the official release, you're going to have a bug here or there. Just the nature of software, right? So wait till you're done with the project you're on and then go ahead and upgrade. You should be good to go. And here's a nice comment that came in the other day. It's on an old video when I had just hit 5,000 subscribers. It's from, I think the video was 5 years ago, I think. Somebody had just randomly commented on it. Congratulations. And I was like, thanks. I'm like up to over 120,000 subs now. And it's, it was good to remember how long it's taken me to get here. 5 years ago I was at 5,000 subs, and now we're at 120 something thousand. YouTube's a grind. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, of work, learning all the different parts and pieces. And actually, I just went through Daryl Eves' class about the channel jumpstart system, and I'm trying to start to implement some of that. And there's just always so much more to learn, and it's been a ride. I'll tell you that, been a ride. But I'm glad that I could be here and continue to make videos for you guys. Next comment we have here on how to restore, load, and read a Project.db file. This is sometimes your backups just don't work, but you've got them, and it's a .db file. You don't know how to look at it, use it, look it up. So I tell you how to restore all that in this video. But he says, hello, thanks for the amazing tutorial, but I'm having an issue. I followed all of the instructions in the video, but my project is only loading at 100%. But my project is only loading at 100%, and DaVinci Resolve closes. I'm working on a short film, and it has taken me months to edit. Could you please help with a solution? So I'm not sure what might be happening there, why it might not be loading that up for you there. The only thing I can think is that maybe if you were on a different version of Resolve or something, where the project needed to be upgraded before it would open in Resolve, maybe that's one reason why, I don't know, Resolve would shut down. I'm not really sure why it might be doing that. One thing I might do is see if there is another .db file that you can grab and try and restore in order to bring that project back. I know it might not be, the latest and the greatest. It might be, one that was saved a little bit earlier, but at least you could get the project back, So that's probably what I would try. Otherwise, I'm not really sure why it wouldn't load up the DB file for you. All right, another comment here on the 10 free effects I use in Resolve. I made a mistake here, and I did make a pinned comment about this on the video. In there, I had talked about the lens blur, and I use that, fairly often if I want to blur stuff out. And I swore that was in the free version, but I did go back and look it up, and I was wrong. It's actually only in the studio version. But if you only have the free version, you can just, not use lens blur because it's obviously the studio version. You could just use the Gaussian blur, and that's going to do essentially the same thing for you. It just has less options. Like, it won't give you the little bokeh look, to some of the background when it blurs it. It'll just be, a more continuous kind of blur. So Gaussian blur is the way to go if you only have the free version. My bad. I apologize about that. But hey, I'm only human. We all make mistakes, right? Question on locked-on stabilization effect in Resolve20. What if the character in the video is off center? Now, I forget exactly how I did this. This is from a DaVinci Resolve 17 video that I did. But you could probably, if you have Studio, could probably use Smart Reframe, and that would keep your subject in the center for you after you did the stabilization. So that's probably what I would do for that. All right, next comment here on the Multicam video crash course I did. It's version 18.6, but really it's still the same in version 20 here. So let's see. The comment is, just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you for this video. I've recently started my journey with DaVinci Resolve as well as a new interview style storytelling project. And after a lot of searching and trial and error, this has been by far the most helpful and clearly explained tutorial I've come across. Your approach made things finally click for me and is exactly what I need to move forward with confidence. Truly appreciate the time and effort you put into sharing the info and your knowledge. So I all my videos, I really do my best to try and, got an itch in my eye here, try to simplify things because Resolve is a complicated program. I mean, when I got started, I didn't know what I was looking at. And that's part of the reason I started this channel, is just to help you guys, anybody out there that was trying to learn it. And the learning curve is so steep when you get started, especially if you're like me and you're coming from something like, iMovie or a more simpler editing program. The learning curve is steep. So I try my best to really simplify things, make it easy and clear to understand, so that way it's easy to follow along with, and not just, I try not to make it more complicated than it needs to be, because it's already hard enough, So I'm glad that multicam video was helpful for you. Next comment on a video, DaVinci Resolve won't save, and here's the fix. Geez, you saved me so much work. You're welcome. So this one, sometimes your project gets a little hung up, and like if you try to hit, Command or Control S to save it or go File, Save, it doesn't save. It just sits there, and you're like, oh man, dude, why is it not saving? And sometimes if I let it sit too long, this used to be a problem where it did it quite frequently. So the fix to that is just to open your project manager, open multiple projects, and then you can just close them down. And then when I jump back and forth between projects, it allows me to save. So if you're running into that problem where it won't save, maybe try doing that, jumping back and forth between projects. Next one, a comment on DaVinci Resolve EQ Crash Course. I should make a new EQ Crash Course. I mean, the information's the same, but let's update it to version 20, right? I only have the option in that menu, mixer and meters. So I should really check it out at 258 here and just see what's there. So that way I can tell you exactly what you need to know. So it looks like the EQ wasn't showing up, but it should be there. As long as you're clicking on the right three dots, it looks like, I'm assuming maybe you're clicking along the top of the screen there. So you got to open the mixer, then go to those three dots, and it'll open up the EQ for you. Another comment here on DaVinci Resolve 19 audio is only in one ear. How do I fix that? So in this video, I just showed you how to either change everything to a mono track or how to jump in your clip attributes and change your audio so that it comes out of both right and left channels of, a pair of headphones, for example. So if you don't know how to do that, you only got audio coming out of one speaker, that's a good video for you to check out. It's a pretty easy fix. All right, next comment here on DaVinci Resolve 19 1.3 Crash Course for Noobs. The comment is, hey, Jason, I greatly appreciate this crash course. I knew within the first 5 minutes I would learn exactly what I need to know from you. I love that you do a thorough that you go through each tool and icon on each page and explain what it does without rushing through the information. I feel it shows an awareness of the different levels of learners. Yeah, I do my best to, meet everybody where they're at. I learned Adobe Premiere Pro, and now that I have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, I switched to DaVinci Resolve. At first, felt overwhelmed having to learn new editing. Truly appreciate the reminder that it's just different. Your positive attitude and teaching style is comforting, and I'm excited about learning more from you. So yeah, I mean, Resolve is different, but you can do all the same things that you can anywhere else. It's just a little bit of a different way to go ahead and do it, So I'm glad that video was able to get you off on the right foot, learning DaVinci Resolve, and now you never have to look back. Just keep moving forward, because honestly, Resolve's the way of the future. Let's be honest. Next comment on 10 timeline navigation tips in DaVinci Resolve. Comment is, which entry do I have to change in order to use Control and the plus and minus key to zoom in and out of the timeline? So a lot of keyboard shortcuts in that video about navigating around your timeline. So the Command or Control on a PC, plus and minus, is going to zoom you in and out of your timeline. Now that should be the default settings. At least it's always been for me. I've never had to go and change that. But if you need to put the keyboard shortcut in for that, what you're going to be looking for, if you come up to the View menu here and you come down to Zoom, we have Zoom to Fit, Zoom in, and Zoom out. So in order to set those keyboard preferences, you're going to go to your DaVinci Resolve menu, Keyboard Customization, and then in here we can just search for what we're looking for. So I'm going to go to search. I'm going to say Zoom in, and we can see, let's see, it's Fairlight, Timeline, Fusion, Keyframe, View. Yeah, so view, zoom, and you can see right there it has our zoom in, and then it shows you what the keyboard shortcuts are, and you can add it in there. So it's under the view menu once you get into keyboard customization there, and that should work for your timeline. Next video that we have a comment on here, 3 tips to remove audio background noise in DaVinci Resolve 18, which is the same for 19, 20. It's all the same stuff when it comes to audio like that. We can always use those tips from older videos. Thank you for this. I love when a tutorial is actually helpful and to the point. I try to make all my tutorials that way. Granted, I don't always accomplish the task at hand, but I do my best to make my videos as helpful as I can for you guys. Throw in extra, little golden nuggets there for you, and just do the best I can to share information with you guys. Next comment here, increase audio clarity, how to make your dialogue crisp and clear. Thanks for making the video. Recently got a DJI wireless mic and was a bit unimpressed with the audio I was getting out of it. I really appreciate that you created a similar example and environment to my setup. This was very helpful. So yeah, a lot of times when it comes to lav mics, lav mics are notorious for needing some EQ work. And to make your audio a little bit clearer, it's a little bit of EQ you're going to throw on there. You're going to boost the high ends, anywhere between 4 and 8K, and even a little bit above that, add a little sparkle on there, a little woo, shine, and just, increase the clarity of your dialogue there. So lav mics notorious for needing a little bit of EQ. Another comment on the 3 tips to remove background noise video. Thank you. I need my PC on for my scripts at the present, and and the hum picks up on my recording. So the hum, maybe it's the fan on your computer, something like that. So a lot of ways you can get rid of that. If it's a low hum in the background, you've got, your expander and your gate. Of course, voice isolation is going to do an awesome job on that for you. So glad that some of those tips worked for you and, allowed you to use your videos and get that hum out of there for you so it wasn't so annoying. So a comment on how to keyframe audio in DaVinci Resolve. And the keyframes changed a little bit here, as I mentioned already, in DaVinci Resolve 20. So all you have to do to delete a keyframe is just click on it so that it gets highlighted, and then you can just hit your backspace or delete key, and it's going to delete it for you. So really quick and easy to get rid of keyframes. If you don't want them, you don't need them, just select them, hit backspace or delete, boom, you're good to go. All right, comment on top 25 keyboard shortcuts to edit faster in DaVinci Resolve. Thanks for the tutorial. I learned a lot. Can you make a best practices when editing for more efficiency and editing tricks and tips? Yeah, I can. I'll put something together like that. I've got ways that I do things that I think are pretty efficient and work out pretty well. Things like using power bins, using power grades, presets, stuff like that is going to really make your workflow more efficient and make you be able to get through projects quicker. And obviously it depends on the kind of project you've got. But for me, like making YouTube videos and online stuff, I use a lot of the same things and do the same kinds of things over and over again. It's just kind of my style. I found what works for me. I do, try and make it better all the time. But yeah, maybe that's an idea that I'll jot down and make a video about because I think it's a great idea. Quick comment on an old video that I put out, the Samson G-Track Pro. Samson has great products and mics. The mic is well marked below its value. I agree. If you haven't heard or tried the Samsung G-Track Pro, that thing is sweet, man. It sounds good. And actually, this microphone I'm on right now, the Q9X is a Samson mic. Dynamic microphone. This thing sounds good. And it's a whole lot cheaper than something like the Shure SM7B or whatever. A lot of people use those for, podcasts and stuff, but this thing right here sounds good. And then over here, I've got the Samson Hi-Rise, which is a mic booster, right? Because it's a dynamic mic, it doesn't have as much, oomph coming out of it, so to speak, and as much gain. And that does an awesome job. Right now, my setting on that is plus 20 dB with the high frequency lift. So Samson has great stuff, although I think, a lot of people don't even really know to look at them for microphones and things like that, but they've got awesome stuff, so check them out if you're interested. All right, here's a comment. Love some of these kind of comments here on my Fairlight 19 crash course. Too much talking around the bushes. Some people want, the nitty-gritty. They want more information, But then some people just give me the tip. That's all I care about. So, look, you can't make everybody happy. You just got to do the best I can do. And, Quick Tip Tuesday series is probably more your speed video. But, yeah. Anyway, can't please everybody, so hopefully you learned a little something out of there. I just like this comment right here. I thought I was the only one who could make an entirely new segment out of my outtakes because of how many times I messed up. Look, we all mess up, man. I could make like hours of outtakes and nonsense of me yapping at the camera here, but that's just the way it goes, right? I mean, we try and do the best we can. A lot of times you mess up, and the best part about video editing is I could just cut that out and not just show you the good stuff, right? So it's a little deceiving, we don't get it right in one take, and if I mess up, I just cut it out, or I'll throw them all together at the end of the video because honestly, I think it's kind of funny. Now, here's a good one. A lot of times when you are trying to get some sound in DaVinci Resolve, you've got no audio and you don't know why. And one of the easiest things to check is just to make sure that Resolve is using the correct output, your correct speakers or audio interface or whatever. Make sure it's using the correct thing because sometimes it just doesn't pick up the right thing. And this has been an issue for, I don't know, a long time. This video that I made here, it's actually a short. It's from DaVinci Resolve 17, so a couple versions ago. But you just want to check your preferences and make sure your output is set to the correct thing, because a lot of times if it's not, you see your meters moving, you're like, I don't hear anything. What's wrong with DaVinci Resolve? It's broken. No, it's not broken. You just got to set the output properly and you should be good to go. Now, here's a good one on a DaVinci Resolve 20, some of the new audio tools that I was talking about in a big compilation video of just the new tools in version 20. When it comes to audio work, it says, can you keyframe effects like low cut in the edit page, like in Premiere? If not, that's a bummer. Doing it manually is good, but not always so convenient. So when it comes to things like a low cut or a high pass, either way, if you were to try and do it in the edit page, I don't think you could do it. I think you actually need to use automation in order to do that, because automation's kind of like keyframing, but it's not. So if you wanted to, have a music track that starts out with just the bass and then eventually opens up to the entire, spectrum of sound that's part of that song, you would use automation doing that. Now, I'm not familiar with Premiere Pro. I've never used it. I've actually never even been in it other than seeing people do some tutorials online with it. So I'm not sure how exactly that works, but I don't believe we can keyframe audio stuff in the edit tab. Let me just take a look. I'm going to actually open up the new keyframes panel here. I've got a clip selected here. And let's see, I don't expand all parameters, audio. It looks like for keyframes in the edit tab, when it comes to audio, we're only going to be able to see volume and pan, which is all we can see inside of the inspector as well. So I think you would need to jump over into Fairlight to use a little automation to do that. So you can animate or automate or keyframe. It's all the same kind of thing. Any audio parameter in Fairlight, any effect, any parameter of an effect, any EQ, dynamics, anything. And I've got a great video on demonstrating that when it comes to automation. If you just search Jason Yadlovski automation, you'll find it. It's the only video I have about automation, but pretty much everything still applies, and you'll see how to do that. It's just like making keyframes for video. It's just they call it automation in audio, and you have to do it a little bit differently in Fairlight. And going back to those sound issues, if you have a problem where you don't hear audio in DaVinci Resolve, it could be a whole host of different things. And I've got a video about all those different things. I've got 22 different tips for you to try and get your audio to work if you're having problems. Everything from the preferences we already talked about up to working with clips and all kinds of stuff. But there's a comment on there. And here I am again, 2 years later with the studio version of 20 Beta 4. My sound got kicked off the bus again. It's all fixed up now thanks to this tutorial. Sometimes you just got to jump in there and try a few different things, and it's different problems and different solutions sometimes, each time. Sometimes, maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes you got to jump in there and try different things. But glad you're able to get your sound working there. And if you have a problem with your sound, you definitely want to check out this video. The title is No Sound in DaVinci Resolve 18 Fixed. And search my name, you'll find it. All right, here's a comment on some of the new audio tools here, and they're talking about the AI Dialogue Matcher and the AI EQ Matcher. So its comment is, hey, Jason, can we just say that both does the same thing? The only difference is AI Dialogue Matcher does not allow to fine-tune, but the AI EQ Matcher lets us fine-tune after it does the work. If not, when should we use which tool? So they actually don't work the same. I believe, and I have to double check this, but I believe the Dialogue Matcher is going to add in some of the ambient noise to make it match another clip. I think the example I used in that video was me in the garage, right? And I had another clip that was me not in the garage. And this is what kind of confuses me a little bit. Like, I don't want my clip that's not in the garage, that doesn't have all that reverb, to sound like the one that does have all that reverb and echo. I want it to go the other way around, right? I want the garage clip to sound like the one when I'm not in the garage. So I think that's the one what the dialogue matcher does. And then the EQ matcher is just going to kind of match the tone of the particular clips. It'll match one clip to another using the EQ the best that it can. So they actually do work different and they do different things. So you just got to play with them, see what's going to give you the best result that you're looking for. But the dialogue matcher is going to do more with the ambient type of noise and make it sound like they were filmed in the same location. That's kind of the idea and my understanding of the dialogue matcher versus the EQ matcher. All right, here's another one on new SideChain. When that came out in Resolve 19, we're able to use effects a little bit better on the SideChain, and it's even gotten a little bit better here in version 20. But the comment here on Mad Gear Band said SideChain options aren't appearing at the top of the window. So your effect should have like the sidechain on top of the window if you can use the sidechain with a given effect. And I've had a little bit of trouble getting this to work myself. It's never quite worked the way that I wanted to. For example, I like to try and use the sidechain on an EQ. So let's say I've got music underneath my dialogue. I'm talking, and when I'm not talking, I want the full sound of music. But when I am talking, I want to drop, the EQ in that maybe, 1 to 2K range, make a nice cut there to make room for my dialogue to come through. And the sidechain, in theory, should be able to react to my dialogue, to activate the EQ, to drop those frequencies while I'm talking. And when I stop talking, the sidechain should turn off the EQ so that the music goes back to the full spectrum of sound. But I've never quite gotten it to work like that so far. So I got to try it again and just see if I can really get it to work a little bit better. And it looks like this person, they ended up, starting a brand new project fresh, not with a template, maybe default settings for the project, and then it seemed to work. So maybe I need to do that too. Maybe I've got something set, in my default preset project that I open all the time to start with that's causing the problem for me. So I'm going to check that out. But new sidechain feature, if it works the way it's supposed to, where the sidechain can cause an effect to react to another channel, that's huge. I love that. And I'm still trying to figure that out. So I'm going to play with that a little because I want to make a video on it and show how that all works because it could be really helpful. So comment on a video I made about the AI audio assistant and some thoughts I shared on that tool. The comment is, your audio sounded a lot better than the AI's audio edit. And that's one thing, that I think you need to keep in mind when it comes to all this AI stuff is that it can help you and it's a tool, but it's not going to do the full job for you, right? I've found that, as I've tried these different tools, some of them work good. Some of them I might be able to kind of leave where it's at once I run the tool. But the majority of them, I'm going to have to go back and make some changes. I'm going to have to tweak it a little bit. And especially when it comes to something like audio, being that I'm an audio guy, I'm just not happy with the results that it gives me. Could it do better if I, maybe categorized my sound effects and stuff a little bit better? Yeah, it probably could. But, for me and being an audio guy, I'm probably not going to use most of those AI tools. I'm just going to do it myself. I can get it done quicker the way I want it. I don't have to go back and try and re-edit things. But if you're not an audio person, you don't want to be, and you don't want to know about it, which if you're making videos, you're like, come on, you got to get with the audio program here. But if you're not, those tools are probably better than nothing most of the time. But with the AI audio assistant, for example, it just didn't give you the balance of the different types of sound effects and music and everything like I would want to do it myself. So I think you need to just be careful when you're using all the AI stuff. Use it, try it out. But make sure you understand what it's doing, why it's doing it, and make sure that, whether it's audio, video, whatever, make sure it looks or sounds good to you. Take a step back, make sure it's what you want, because AI is just a tool, right? You're still the creative one. We still need you to make the creative decisions and, really dictate what it's going to sound like or look like. So just keep that in mind when you're using all of these AI tools. All right, here's a good one that I was corrected on by some of you guys, and that was me saying that in DaVinci Resolve 20 here, we can have the audio split out into different tracks, and then we can also have DaVinci Resolve actually delete the silences in between, where they might be talking or whatever, and that's helpful because then if you have a little bit of background noise in between, your speaking parts, Resolve can automatically get rid of that. And I said in my video, hey, it'd be great if it got rid of the video tracks too. And you guys corrected me there and you said, hey, if you run the transcribe feature and then go to, let's see, top right, press the remove silence, it will select your text and cut up the project for you. So I got to try that. I use Recut to do that now. And I think it was I don't know how much I paid for Recut. It wasn't that much, $50, $30, $100, I don't know. But it works like really fast and it does a great job, gets rid of all of the silences, the video and audio parts of the track, moves it all together, and then that's what I bring in. I export out a timeline from Recut and bring that into Resolve. And kudos to Casey Ferris. He told me about that, a few years ago, and I was like, dude, game changer, this is awesome, because it just saves you the time of having to cut out all the silences, right, or mess ups or whatever. It does all that for you. Now, Resolve can do that, but one thing that I find a little frustrating is that the transcribe tool takes more time than Recut does for me. Recut, I just drop it in, and within a minute, boom, I've got the timeline exported out. I'm good to go. The transcribe tool here in Resolve just takes more time to work. I'm not saying it doesn't work good. It just takes longer, and I'm trying to get done quicker here so I can get more videos done, get things out, get stuff done. So that's one downside for me to using the transcribe. Now, that could just be based on my computer because it's, Resolve's using AI and whatever. And I'm just working on a M1 Mac Mini, 16 gigs of RAM, nothing fancy here. It's a couple years old at this point. So I'm thinking about upgrading to new Mac Studio. But anyway, so maybe that's part of the problem. It would be nice to do it all right in Resolve, but Recut's so fast that it really takes like no time for me to do it there. So I got to get in there and try it out a little more on Resolve and see if I could just do it all there. If it makes sense, I'll do it. It's fine. But for now, I'll probably stick with Recut. Maybe Resolve should buy Recut and use it to do that a whole lot faster. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. All right, and we're going to wrap up the podcast here with this one on the AI music editor video here in DaVinci Resolve 20. Made a video all about it. Everybody was excited for that. And where'd it go? I've just lost the comment I was going to read. Where did it go? Where'd you go? Totally. Oh, here it is. Okay. It says, hi, and thank you for your videos. I have a problem. So I normalize all of my audio with the YouTube preset. For most of my audio, that means that the level goes into the red peak and my audio sounds rough and almost crashy. So then I'm concerned to use this preset, and instead I make my own with around -5, not to pass -2. What's your thoughts on this? It says is YouTube, but are YouTube videos supposed to hit the red peak since that is the preset? So when it comes to your audio, you got to break it down a little bit, okay? So generally, you don't want your audio going up into the red. We definitely don't want to be peaking and distorting and all that. For audio, when it comes to YouTube or really any other platform, what you want to keep in mind is this process, right? First, you want to bring in your audio. You want to set your audio, and I'm talking about your dialogue levels here. You want to set your dialogue levels to about -10 dB. Now, in DaVinci Resolve here, that -10 dB is going to be right on the borderline of yellow to red. Now, we still have another 10 dB to go in the red area, so we want to be around -10, right? A little above, a little below is okay. Now, when it comes to YouTube, we can boost everything up, right? We want to get all of our dialogue set first at that -10. We want to, adjust all our audio levels to put your music in, set that a little bit quieter. And then at the end of our process, what you really want to do is check your overall loudness, because that's what YouTube cares about. They want to make sure you don't exceed their loudness levels. And I do have a video on loudness and how to set that. You can do it multiple different ways here in DaVinci Resolve. But basically, you want to make sure that you do not exceed -14 LUFS. So first step, always set your audio levels for your clips in your timeline. Make sure they're around that -10 dB on your meters. And then after you're done with all of your audio mixing, that's when you check your loudness, and you can bring all those levels up a little bit louder as a whole to meet the requirements or the standards that YouTube allows you to. And I've got videos on all that stuff, checking your loudness, the full audio editing process on how to do it, where to make your settings, how to make all those changes. So it's a little more involved than just, oh, let me just run the preset on there. And if you were to normalize your audio clips to that YouTube preset, right? Say you did that to all your dialogue, and then you did that also to your music and your sound effects or whatever. By the time you render out your project, it's going to be too loud for YouTube, and they're going to squash it down on you anyway, because everything is too loud to start with, right? So when you bring it onto YouTube, all those different things, all being loud, pushes up your overall loudness, and it's going to be no bueno. It's going to be no good. YouTube's going to compress that down on you. So you want to make sure that you go through the process, set your audio levels on your clips first, set your music, your sound effects, set all that stuff. And I've got a whole video crash course on where to set your levels, what they should be at. I've also got a full audio course if you're interested in a one-stop shop for, everything from taking your audio from, just getting started to being able to, get everything that you need when it comes to, EQ, dynamics, effects, setting levels, all that stuff. I got a full project in there, a whole mini documentary that you can work through, that would help you out. So link in the description below if you want to check that out. But that wraps up this episode of the DaVinci Resolve Podcast. I just installed the full release of DaVinci Resolve 20 right before I started filming this, so I'm excited to get in there, see if I find any more bugs. Overall, though, it's been pretty good. A few bugs here and there I've seen, but, they're beta versions. What are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get back into making some more videos for you guys. If you have something you want to see, you've got questions maybe that weren't answered in this video or follow-up questions, leave it down below. Happy to answer your questions. Again, this podcast is going to be here on the YouTube. It's going to be on Spotify. You can listen to it wherever. And yeah, I'm going to try. I always keep saying this. I got to do this more often because it's fun. I like answering your questions. And if there's something specific you guys want to hear me talk about, feel free to drop a comment, shoot me a note, whatever it might be. And yeah, with that said, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for listening to the DaVinci Resolve Podcast. And with that said, I'm out of here, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast, video, live stream, whatever it might be. I'll catch you over there. You guys have an awesome day. See you in the next one.